Last night, your government told you that Russia sending tanks and troops into eastern Ukraine was not a further provocation. That Russia moving into Ukraine only meant a small set of sanctions on businesses operating in that specific area. And then, this morning you woke up and your government was coordinating crippling sanctions against Vladimir Putin and Russia. It was a total 180 from the White House overnight, and it was all thanks to German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, of all people, who apparently is giving Joe Biden an education, teaching a politician who's been around so long he's given eulogies for KKK members how to do his job. Scholz showing Biden how to respond to Russia's aggression. Germany evidently now willing to sacrifice their Nord Stream 2 pipeline, which is, at least for now, a very big move. And you can tell that the Russians are a little worried about this. Russia's Dmitry Medvedev responding on Twitter. Germany's chancellor has ordered the certification of the Nord Stream gas pipeline to be halted. Oh well, welcome to a new world where Europeans will soon be paying 2,000 euros per cubic meter of gas. And can't you see how simple it all is with that? It's so black and white. We're being held hostage by Russian energy, or at least Europe is for now. And this bold move from Germany sent the White House today into panic mode. Once again, Joe Biden looks very small and puny. The curveball made Biden an hour late for his 10-minute press conference. They didn't know what to do, and they had to scramble to figure it out. Where, of course, Biden left without taking a single question. Why would you? You're just trying to, jump into a war in Eastern Europe. The move by Germany likely shocked Russia as well. We know it did. After all, a month ago, Biden said it was okay if Russia just wanted to take the Donbas.
Russia will be held accountable if it invades, and it depends on what it does. It's one thing if it's a minor incursion and then we end up having a fight about what to do and not do, etc.
That was Biden inviting Putin to take eastern Ukraine, by the way. Germany threw everybody a curveball today and really exposed a feckless White House, clueless on what they should do and being ignored by the Russians. From Newsmax, Russian President Vladimir Putin did not watch a speech by U.S. President Joe Biden announcing sanctions. That's something. And why would he? Today, Russian lawmakers authorized Putin to use military force outside their country, and they're pulling their diplomats out of Ukraine. And the most important part of this story, from our perspective, is how marginalized we appear, even as our White House fights so hard to engage in this conflict. It is, of course, their dream distraction, something they predicted so perfectly, and they're still screwing it up. Obama's former defense secretary famously said that Joe Biden has been wrong about every major foreign policy issue for the past 4 decades. Obama himself warned us not to underestimate Joe's ability to F things up. Well, here's Biden 20 years ago praising Vladimir Putin for moving toward democracy.
I'm close to amazed by how far Putin seems to have come in throwing his lot with the West. I don't think anybody since Peter the Great has made such a significant, at least initial move to the West.
Just a reminder how clueless the people in charge of all of us truly are. He's always wrong, and he has taken the escalator right to the top, running the country. It's amazing. So here come the sanctions now that Germany is leading the way. No pipeline for the time being. The U.S. blocking 2 financial institutions, going after the oligarchs, et cetera, et cetera. But the funny thing is, even with these sanctions, Russia could still be better off. Energy prices, you've seen them, they're through the roof. Heating your house, gas station, all that. Crazy expensive. Energy is almost the entire Russian economy. Oil prices approaching $100 a barrel today. So behaving in this fashion, doing what Putin is doing right now, is beneficial for Putin. In 2020, Russia's economy valued at approximately $1.4 trillion. It's not that big. By comparison, 2 states in our country have larger GDPs. Look at Texas, 1.7, California, over $3 trillion. California's twice the GDP of Russia. Putin desperately needs high energy costs. When gas is cheap, like when Trump's in the White House, Putin doesn't do well. He does great right now. Overall, in Russia, oil and gas provided 39% of the federal budget revenue, made up 60% of the exports in 2019. Forbes reporting the United States buying 595,000 barrels of oil per day from Russia. It's only 7% of our crude oil imports. That's how much of that stuff we bring in. And by the way, we could be independent. And we'll buy 595,000 more barrels from Vladimir Putin tomorrow at $100 a barrel. And it's all just to appease Russia. We don't really need anybody's oil, and it's even worse across the Atlantic. Nearly 30% of European gas supplies come from Russia. Now, in Europe, yeah, they probably do need Russian oil. Think about how much more money is pouring into Russia, though, with oil prices double what they were just a couple of years ago. The Russians are swimming in cash, so they can do this kind of stuff. The truth is, Russia is far from the only place in this world with oil. We have a ton of it. Canada has a ton of it. Saudi Arabia has a ton of it. There are many other countries. If we really needed to end this, we probably could. We could actually pull that trigger. We're going to ask why we haven't done so, or why we probably won't, here in just a moment. But what we're seeing is the downfall of years of Western dependence on the rest of the world. That's the larger scope of the situation we're in right now. The West is made in China. The West is fueled by places like Russia. And now we're watching as the chickens have come home to roost. Those evil powers that we let control us. We tap dance around Russia. We tap dance around China. We have to. They make all our stuff. They power our country. They have some kind of hold over us, more so Russia with Europe, China for sure over us and Europe. And if you're looking for somebody to blame for situations like this, it's the people who've been running this country and other Western nations for the past 40 years, getting lobbyist kickbacks for outsourcing jobs and energy to countries that hate us, making us dependent on places we should never have been dependent on, making China, Russia, the Saudis, and America's elites filthy rich while gutting our own middle class. And now we're seeing the price that we will pay for the monster that we have created.